Welcome to Mike Ferry TV and welcome to the week of December 10th through 16th. A couple of weeks ago in Toronto, which is a great city and great clients of ours, David Long, one of our great coaches and speakers, was doing our 4-day Sales Talk workshop. And on day number 3 of the Sales Talk workshop, as some of you know, we spend quite a bit of time talking about the importance of listing expired listings. Wonderful source of listings for everybody that is watching our program today. Well, David had called me early in the morning before the seminar started, and he said, Mike, you know, in Canada, they have a privacy law which does not allow an agent to actually call an expired listing and go ahead and try to relist it. I said, yes, I'm very aware of that law. It's very similar to our do not call law here in the United States. He said, well, yesterday before the program ended, about a dozen agents walked up and said, we see the workbook for expireds tomorrow, and you have to understand we can't do that. And they were all inflamed and upset. And I said, you know, David, the first question I would ask them is this: do you call on expired listings? And I would bet the 8 to 10 agents that came up inflamed and upset about the fact we have a script for expireds never call them anyhow. You know, it's interesting. In real estate, one of the greatest advantages you have is that you can verbalize, you can be emotional, you can be you can rant and rave, you can be very upset about really anything you want to talk about. Because, as we talk all the time, you're independent contractors. There's really no restrictions as to what you do. The problem with that, of course, there's no restrictions as to what you do. There's no restrictions to what you don't do or what you do, and as you know, watch The Office, the majority of all people don't do much of anything. So David says to me, how do I handle this later this morning when I start talking about this? I said, David, here's what I would do. We have a wonderful script in our workbook here for you today in Toronto on how to deal with the expired listings. And I know of the 500 of you that are here today, there may be a couple dozen that actually work expired listings. This script is really for you. For the rest of you, I want you to take a little 5-minute nap. Now, why would I have David say that to the audience? Because we know that if there's 1 million real estate agents in the U.S., there may be 5% of them that actually understand the sales process, that actually understand the sales business, that actually understand how to work within the confines of being a professional real estate agent. And that 5%, of course, are generally big clients of the Mike Ferry organization. And as you know, unfortunately, most of the top producers in the business. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, there's an agent in my office that is really good, and they're doing 75 deals a year, and they don't do anything you say. To which I say, well, how do they develop their business? Well, they've done a wonderful job in marketing and advertising. I said, great. And what does that cost? Well, I don't know. Well, can I tell you that it's probably very expensive? Well, I don't know that. Well, if you're running ads full-time in the newspapers and you're doing mail-outs full-time and you've got bus benches and you've got all those kind of things going, that costs a lot of money. Well, I don't know, but they're not doing anything you say. Well, here's what I want you to think about. I would rather have you do 30 good, profitable deals in 2013 than 70 deals where you're making less money than the guy that does 30. Because the purpose of learning how to sell is to do a better job for the client, to attain the goals you've set, and earn the money you're trying to earn. As we look at 2013, which is just right around the corner, I mean, virtually a couple weeks away, we got to get clear in the fact that we are in a business, and we're in the business of listing and selling real estate. And as a business, we have to follow certain principles and practices. When we follow those principles and practices, we have productivity. When we have productivity, we have income. Now, if your goal in 2013 is to sell 5 homes, first of all, I don't know why you're watching this program every week, because it's just not going to work for you. You're going to be arguing with yourself every week for 12, 14 weeks with me. But if your goal is to sell 30 or 40 homes and you want to do it all through direct mail and marketing and advertising, why are you watching this program? You're not making any money. You know it and I know it. Okay, your average commission check is $6,000 and you're netting probably $1,500 and you're going to do 30 deals, which means you're going to make about $50,000 instead of making $200,000. Or you can follow the Mike Ferry system in 2013 and say, I'm going to manage my time well. I'm going to be very effective in the prospecting. I'm going to be real good at lead follow-up, real strong in my pre-qualifying. I'm going to make great listing presentations, be really good at showing property. I'm going to be very, very strong in handling objections. I'm going to be direct in closing the sale. I'm going to make very good, I'm strong in my negotiating, handle the administration, and then start over again each day. Well, you take that approach, guess what? 2013 is going to be a great year. But if you take the approach of most real estate people, that I'm going to do everything I can to avoid being a salesperson, then guess what? It's not going to work. Think about this question. A seller is going to list their home with you. Do they think they're hiring a salesperson? You bet they do. They think they're hiring a professional salesperson. Somehow, they've been convinced or you've conveyed that you're a salesperson. You know a salesperson has to do certain things. Are you doing those things? So I want you to think carefully in the last couple of weeks of December about your behaviors, your attitudes, your actions, your activities, what you know, what you don't know, because we have 2 weeks left in this month to really get a grasp of what we have to do to make next year better. Now, when this series ends, we've got a great series planned for you, okay? This series, as you know, was titled 100 Plus Thoughts on Prospecting and Lead Follow-Up. My next series for you, starting in January, 100 Plus Thoughts on Listing Property. It is the most all-inclusive breakdown of what an agent has to do to list property that's probably ever been produced. And we're going to lay it out for you over the course of January, February, and early March. You don't want to miss that series, but more importantly, you don't want to miss any of the finish of this series. Let's go to point number 73. The prospects that you have do not know enough about real estate to call you at the right time. So be aggressive in calling them. Now there's a new angle we're going to use on you in the importance of prospecting, and that is be more aggressive. Do you think the average buyer or seller wants a laid back, real cool, non-aggressive person representing them? Don't kid yourself. The real estate market in December 2012 today is still 100% not what it was 5 years ago. Yes, the market improved dramatically. It's better than it was. We got a long ways to go. The buyers and sellers, they want somebody that's aggressive. Well, let's take a look at it this way. How often do you lose a listing because you were too aggressive? Oh, that's right. The answer is never. How long, or how many times, I should say, has a seller said to you, no, I'm not going to list with you. You were too aggressive in your lead follow-up. It's not going to happen. So let's take the approach in our prospecting of being a little more aggressive. Number 74, agents don't follow up on prospects for two primary reasons. Number one, we don't want to bother them. Folks, they gave you their name for a reason. They want to do something. Bother them, please. And B, we don't follow up because we don't know what to say when we call them back. Ring, ring, ring. Hi, Mary, this is Mike. Do you folks still have to get your home sold? Well, yes, we do. Can we set an appointment for this week? Now you know what to say. Do you still have to get your home sold? Question one. Question two, can we set an appointment for this week? Well, Mike, what if they say we don't have to get our home sold? Well, when do you want to get it sold? Not for 3 months. Great, Mary, call me when you're ready and move on. Because remember last week we talked about 10 to 20 hot leads? That does not qualify as a hot lead. Number 75, remember, follow-up requires sales skills, and the most important skill is questioning them on every call. Do you still have to sell your home? Do you still want to buy a home? Do you still want to buy something in the $400,000 price range? Are you still thinking your home is worth this much money? Selling is a series of questions you ask. If you look at all the scripts that we write, it's all questions. Look at the scripts that we have for you and compare them to our quote-unquote supposed competitors. Long dialogues, page after page of things they want you to say. That's not selling, that's talking. Selling is asking questions. Remember, selling and lead follow-up require sales skills. Number 76, you don't like this one. Follow-up, 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 follow-up is what makes the prospecting you're doing work. See, If you're not going to follow up on the leads you have, you're going to stop prospecting. What's the point of getting 4 or 5 good leads and never following up? See, you're going to get discouraged and say, why do I prospect all the time? I never do anything anyhow. More follow-up. And then, of course, I wrote number 77, as we said a few minutes ago. Since the prospect does not understand or know what's important about real estate, but they do understand aggressiveness, keep calling them until you can tell them what has to be done to get their home sold. You can't be too aggressive, guys and gals. One thing I've never been accused of is being too laid back. You got to be aggressive. Number 78, remember the word consistency while prospecting. The word consistency means something different to every person. But one thing I'm really clear on, if we lack consistency, we really are not going to hit the production goals that we've set. Doing it every day, doing it every day, doing it every day, doing it every day. But Mike, it's boring. Of course it is. Life is boring unless you have a goal you're trying to accomplish. 79, take the time to focus yourself mentally and physically before every prospecting appointment and lead follow-up appointment. Notice I didn't say, just do whatever you're going to do. We have to be very focused mentally and physically. Stop before you start. Look at the numbers. Look at who you're calling. Look at the names. Look at your script. Practice and role play. Get into it, then do it. Number 80, again, take the time to focus mentally and physically before each prospecting appointment. But remember, the real focus is to hone in on what they're saying when they respond. See, the real focus says, hi, my name is Mike Ferry, and I was wondering, when do you plan on moving? What they say next is critical, and you have to focus in, because if you know your script, you don't have to be reading your script to yourself to get the next question. You can be listening to what they're actually saying. And point number 81, it's always easier to deal with files, problems, your computer, return phone calls than it is to prospect. Don't allow yourself to be involved in non-productive activities. Prospect, lead follow-up, pre-qualify, appointments. 75% of your day should be involved in prospecting, lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, and appointments. You do that, believe me, 2013, greatest year of your life. Homework. I'm going to challenge you today to make 25 good quality contacts per day. 25 good quality contacts per day. Remembering that attitude, approach, and expectations are the name of the game. Reminder, okay, 3 hours a day of prospecting. Track your numbers. Qualify each appointment. Don't waste your time. And boy, am I looking forward to seeing several hundred of you in San Diego at the 101 retreat. Talk to you next week.